Remedy just dropped their worst game ever and they think it's their comeback. FBC Firebreak just launched. It is a co-op spin-off of Control. It has a $40 price tag, and players are reporting that it barely has any matchmaking as they can't even fill a 3-player lobby. What makes it worse is that Remedy has revealed their roadmap for the game. This includes free content that they're adding later on. This not only indicates to their fan base that the game will not only be cheaper later on, but also better due to the bugs being fixed and more content. So they're not even convincing their own fan base to pick up the game early. This is supposed to be their big move into a live service game. But no one is playing it and no one asked for this. Remedy burned through 20 million euros before Alan Wake 2 even made profit. And somehow they thought a live service shooter would fix that. The long-awaited Alan Wake 2 took over a year and a half for it to break even. Despite the original Alan Wake having hardcore fans who've been asking for a sequel for years, the sequel somehow lost momentum. Alan Wake 2 had many reasons as to why it didn't sell well fast enough. It had limited marketing and visibility. On top of that, it was an Epic Game Store exclusive. It had negative word of mouth for certain aspects such as the dual protagonist structure of playing Alan and Saga. So even though critics praised the new voices and atmosphere, there were fans that expected more of the original game's tone and gameplay pacing. And on top of all that, they made the game unnecessarily expensive. And they included live action, full motion video cutscenes, which means they have to pay for the actors, the wardrobe, the set pieces, set designers, cameramen, sound team, etc., etc. It's much cheaper for a game to have cutscenes done in 3D rendering or in-game engine. Also, Remedy got funded by Rockstar to develop a Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. The problem with this is even though they got funded to work on the remake, because Remedy doesn't own this IP, Rockstar needs to recoup the cost of development that they gave to Remedy before Remedy gets to see any royalties. So Remedy decided to take a 15 million euro loan from Tencent so that they can develop and self-publish FBC Firebreak. They released a live service game in 2025 after everyone has stopped caring about live service games. Despite so many flops such as Payday 3, Redfall, and we can't forget about Harley Quinn Squad, which works so well for Rocksteady and WB games. Not only are players no longer interested in live service games. Live service games require players for them to be active. The players are part of the content. Without other players to play with, you can't play a live service game. And because players are part of the content, most live service games are free so that they can get as many players in as possible. FBC Firebreak has a $40 price tag. Yes, it worked for Helldivers 2, but Helldivers 2 is the exception, not the rule. Remedy has loyal fans who want story, and FBC Firebreak gives them a broken matchmaking system. Remedy is known for their narrative-driven, atmospheric single-player games with tight controls and great shooting mechanics. Max Payne, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, Control, all are heavily story-driven with great gameplay and mechanics. Firebreak is the opposite. It is a multiplayer co-op game with no strong story hook. Yes, it's connected to Control, but it's not the same narrative experience that players are expecting. This isn't what the fan base asked for. It seems more like something that investors ask for. Was it part of Tencent's stipulation for the loan that they had to make a live service multiplayer shooter? I understand the studio is going through hard times and they need to improve their financial situation. But taking a huge risk with a live service shooter is not how you do it. Knowing what Remedy is good at, I think they should have made something smaller, single player focused, and narrative driven. They don't need to have expensive full motion videos for their narrative. Just look at Max Payne 1 and 2. They used comic book style panels for the narrative, and it worked great. They could do something similar with a brand new IP. Keep it within the same Remedy connected universe. It doesn't need to be directly tied with Control. Maybe make a game that's similar to Max Payne, but tie it more into the Control universe so it's like a cyberpunk noir game that takes advantage of the graphic novel storytelling in between the levels. I understand they want to make a connected universe, but it doesn't need to have a very deep link with the games. The deeper the link, the more difficult it will be for them to write a narrative that doesn't contradict what they've already established. It doesn't need to be a strong link at all, other than that it's within the same universe. Similar to what I'm doing with my games. I have Nexus Defenders, which is a sci-fi tower defense game, and I want to build onto that same universe with my games. I'm currently working on Beware Tomorrow, which is a completely different genre of game, and it's a completely different time period, but it takes place within the same universe. The stories don't connect, so players don't need to play both games, but having the games linked together contributes to the world building. A game plan like this to make a small single-player narrative experience sets up for an easy victory, which Remedy needs. Right now, Remedy is looking desperate by throwing everything at the wall and trying to see what sticks. Live service with FBC Firebreak isn't part of a clear strategy. It feels more like a reaction. Remedy is juggling too many risky moves at once, trying to self-publish their IPs. They're working on a live service multiplayer game. They're trying to go for big budget storytelling with their live action FMVs. They're trying really hard to expand their shared universe, which does add to the value of their IP, but improved value of their IP isn't helping them if they're not constantly releasing more games. Instead of doubling down what they're good at, they're just scattershotting everything. The situation Remedy is in right now is making me think about Iron Galaxy. They're doing contract work, co-developing games as well as working on ports. Doing enough of these projects led to them to earn enough trust to work on Killer Instinct. After that, they were able to work on larger projects, but they took some bad bets with large live service games such as Rumbleverse. This led to large layoffs and return to support work. Iron Galaxy chased trends and paid the price for it. Remedy can be next. If Remedy is in financial trouble, they should either work on those small single player experiences like I mentioned, or do what Iron Galaxy used to do and do a lot of contract work, such as co-developing games or working on ports. It's not the most ideal situation for them, but it's better than taking on a huge risk by taking on a loan to make a live service game that nobody wants. Once they have stabilized their studio, then they can take some risks with more innovative games. It doesn't work the other way around. FBC Firebreak was a huge mistake for the studio. They secured a good deal with Rockstar to work on the Max Payne remakes, and they already have a huge loyal fan base due to their narrative games. But instead of playing to their strengths, they completely misread the room. Let me know in the comments below. Is Remedy doing fine? Do you think they can bounce back from this, or are they doomed? Thanks for getting this far in the video. Please leave a like and subscribe to help boost the algorithm. Take care. Salam.